Ratsénhaienhs Ross Montour speaking to you today on this beautiful summer day, August. I will take a time, first of all, to give greetings to everybody in the community, and I'm hoping that we've had a good summer. It hasn't been the most ideal summer environmentally, as we can see by the number of fires that have occurred and continue to occur across the country. So as an environment portfolio chief, I look at that. And also in terms of consultation and the whole discussion, I frame a lot of what we talk about in consultation according to Kahnawake, which is, to me, is natural law. And it speaks about our relationship to the natural world, because of those things provide for us, as our ancestors taught. Anyways, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things that I've had a recent opportunity to be involved in. One is the recent meeting of the Iroquois Caucus, which took place last week. I was there for one of the 2 days, and during that particular discussion period, we talked about, among other things, border crossing issues, related issues. There was also a discussion about, and I would relate it somewhat to border crossing, which had to do with I'd say sports politics, and that had to do with the OLA and the Canadian Lacrosse Federation, more or less, I think, threatening to ban our kids from teams on this side if they took part in a tournament in the U.S. in Utica, New York. And so, but this is mainly in the sphere of Chief Jessica Lazar and heritage and so on. So they're working on that particular thing. But that was part of one of the things related to borders that we're talking about. The particular interest, at least for me, from my perspective, is our involvement with the Jay Treaty Border Alliance. The Grand Chief and I will be attending a great Jay Treaty Border Alliance meeting in Calgary, Alberta. And somebody questioned, well, why Calgary? There was a specific request that the meeting be held there. We've the Jay Treaty Border Alliance meetings have been taking place in varying locations across, the 48th parallel and the borders along the way. One of the treaty groups from Calgary, Alberta area, because it's a Blackfoot Confederacy group. Because they're across border in the same way that, say, Mohawk people are. Particularly if you want to look at a specific example, like Akwesasne is an example. It's the Blackfoot crossover into Montana, and so they're also involved and looking to take a greater part in Jay Treaty Border Alliance. So that's upcoming. The other thing I really wanted to kind of update on is the ongoing discussions with Special Ministerial Representative Deborah Corber, who was appointed by the previous Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations for Canada, Mark Miller, who was put into the most recent shuffle into another department. And the new minister, we have no idea about what his background is or what his understanding is in terms of the issues here. And we're also looking to say, and this came up in the most recent meeting with the Special Ministerial Representative at the Kahnawake-Canada Relations table this week, which is, okay, so what is the future of the commitment on the part of the Government of Canada to be able to sit down and discuss with us ways to move forward in terms of a relationship. So the Government of Canada, going all the way back to 2015, been talking about a renewed relationship with its Indigenous peoples. Also, the commitment supposedly to the United Nations Declaration and so on, and moving forward in terms of relationships structurally with Canada, in terms of governance. And for us as Kahnawake, we took the position on, even with the previous minister, who was Carolyn Bennett, to say, look, we're not not sitting here to have a discussion. We're not sitting at what have been called in some quarters termination tables. We're not talking about that at all. What we are talking about is what we have been engaged in already, is self-determination. And the only discussions that we say we're involved in are about moving forward and removing or overcoming obstacles to the as complete as possible exercise of self-determination as a jurisdiction, and that covers justice. It covers matters related to who is a Kahnawake of Kahnawake. Some people refer to that maybe as membership or maybe even as citizenship. Okay, those are things that Kahnawake should be determining. As well, we're talking about the issues related to recognition of our jurisdiction in terms of gaming, which is really being challenged right now with the passage of Bill C-218 almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, if my memory serves me correctly, and what came out of it in relation to how the provinces are unrolling, the first of which is Ontario, and how they're doing something called conduct and manage, which has really been created a negative impact in our ability to do business in that province, which is the largest, most populous province in terms of online gaming potential. And so we have a court case happening right now in terms challenging the conduct and manage model that was being implemented by Ontario. But back to the Canada-Kahnawake relations table, that work is ongoing. We did have a frank discussion with the special ministerial representative in terms of what is it going to mean moving down the road. We know that there's an election coming. We don't know. Right now, the Liberal government's focus seems to have shifted to economy and less about specifically about reconciliation, so on and so forth, with Indigenous peoples in the country, to economic matters. But we want to know, does that mean that there's no longer an interest in terms of moving forward? There aren't any explicit answers right now, but I think history has shown that we've always had to deal with changes in government, changes in policy, and so I would say that we know what we're up against, and we can continue to work forward to a beneficial resolution for Kahnawake and Kahnawake in the exercise of self-determination for us. Also, lastly, I'll talk about it. I'm not the lead on it, but I do participate in it. Is the Seigneury, and because of the discussions on Canada-Kahnawake relations, the Seigneury portion has sometimes gotten swallowed up by, not swallowed up by, but put off by the discussions on coming to a memorandum of understanding protocol moving forward that could be brought to cabinet for a negotiations mandate on the subject of the relationship between us and Canada, which we're saying once upon a time this was as allies, not as subjects of Canada, and that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the two-row relationship, or nation to nation. But the next meetings that we're going to have set up will be alternating, and so Chief DeLille will be back at the table as well as myself to talk about the Seigneury portion. So with that, I just want to say thank you for listening, and continue as we come to the close of the summer. Labor Day will be coming soon enough. Kids will be back to school. I just want to wish everybody the very best of health. And also for our children, looking forward to a new year in school and best success there. So Nyawagoa, Dona Onagawahi, Ross Montour signing off. Ora.